Next, we need to talk about Keith Haring. Now, Haring moves to New York City in 1978 and began using the city as his canvas, making chalk drawings in subway stations. His art eventually will be seen everywhere, from public murals and nightclubs to galleries and museums around the world. He's also going to be known for his activism in promoting AIDS awareness. He, of course, will die of AIDS-related complications in February of 1990 at the age of 31. His art is still exhibited worldwide, and many of his works are owned by prestigious museums, including the Art Institute of Chicago, the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, and the Centre Georges Pompidou in Paris, France. His art, with its deceptively simple style and its deeper themes of love, death, war, and social harmony, continue to appeal strongly to viewers today. So we're going to start with his subway works. And there's a bit of a story behind this. What he's doing with these works is he's using chalk on these advertising panels in the New York subway. When there isn't a poster in the frame, there's just sort of a black map board that's there. So he uses chalk to do these various drawings. He never really tells people, hey, I'm going out and doing these chalk drawings. He just does them. He creates them quickly and moves on. He does them in chalk because he's concerned that he'll be arrested. So the idea being that he can sort of sit there and go, hey, look, it's chalk. It comes right off. It's not really graffiti. And this is at a point in time in New York where they're starting to crack down on just about every crime, with the idea that if you commit a small crime, maybe you'll commit a big crime. Moving on. So, what exactly is his attitude towards his subject matter? After all, we see a lot of subject matter going on, a lot of concerns that people have at the time. Clearly, we see a certain amount of sexual energy abounding in his work, sexual energy being so powerful a part of our natures that in the healthy world Haring projects, there is nothing to hide. Indeed, exuberance tends to abound, tends to surround everything. He's acutely aware of the message in his work and keeps any specifically sexual images in the studio and out of the eye of the general public. As he says, kids like the drawings and I don't want to endanger that. So he gets rid of a lot of those ideas. The terror and horror at the use of nuclear power and ever-present fear that accidents or intentions may lead to a nuclear quote-unquote incident are omnipresent in his drawings. His hometown, of course, is only 50 miles from 3 Mile Island. And so pieces like this, where we get this idea of religiosity with the cross, the atom depicted above, the snake, this sort of idea that we're using technologies and we don't understand where they're going. We're riding this snake that we don't know where it's going to head. Or in this case, the idea of outside forces in the 1980s, of course, aliens are very popular. People like the idea that there are outside forces at play because then it removes a sense of agency. It creates a situation where you're a mere victim and there's nothing you can do. So he'll use that imagery. As I said, he'd do these drawings. He'd ride up and down the subway doing these drawings. And people would stop and watch him do the drawings. There were actually people who, when word got out that he had done drawings on a certain subway line, would ride the line just to go and see Haring's drawings. But since they're chalk, they're completely impermanent. As we see here, these are the early 1980s. He's got a lot of different ideas, some of them loosely sexual, such as the one in the middle at the top, right here. That loose idea of sexuality, the hole in one person, another person passing through it. The idea of technology, and technology being sort of an allegory for nuclear power. Income inequality, very common element. Technology controlling people rather than people controlling technology. So all of these ideas are being brought out. We even have, for example, this piece where too much money leads to the head exploding. So it starts here and ultimately moves to a second piece here. So he does do some in series. But let's look at some of his other work.